Good morning, Easter Camp. How are we this morning? Oh, it doesn't sound like you're good. How are we this morning? For those who I haven't met before, my name is Luke, and I have the privilege of being on the Easter Camp team, one of the ones that helps put this thing together for you, and we are so stoked that you are with us this weekend. It has been an incredible weekend so far, and we are just getting started. Now give us a shout if you were here last year. And give an even bigger shout if this is your first time with us this year. Hey! For those of you who don't know, this session is called Kōrero Cafe. And this is a chance for us to hear some stories and some testimonies and have some fun with some friends of mine. There's so many beautiful people who are involved in making Easter Camp happen. Some of them are here today, and we're just going to have a chat. And it is a cafe, so we're going to be drinking some coffee along the way as well. But for those of you who want to get a bit of a taste of Kōrero Cafe, last year I was fortunate enough to interview one of my flatmates, Paul. And he shared a little bit of his journey with us. And I just wanted to share a quick clip from last year for some context.
We found out we were pregnant earlier this year. Last year. Wow. And it's not the journey we expected. And our little girl has been unwell from about 10 weeks old. And it's been a journey that we've had to journey with our people in our lives, our church, and each other, and our families.
So, what was it like when you found out there was these difficulties? What was kind of the overwhelming feeling?
The first news we got was that our baby wasn't going to survive, and so we really just had to delve deep into our faith, and it was probably the most brutal experience we've ever gone through in our lives. You think you know what grief is, but yeah, something like that when you're getting told your first child isn't going to survive really hits deep.
So this morning, I'm really glad to introduce you to my newest flatmate. This is Anaya. She is such an answer to prayer, and we are so grateful you are here with us, wearing your merch, might I add. Anaya, we are so grateful to God for you. What a testimony, eh? So let's be encouraged this morning about God's goodness. As much as I want to hold on to you for the whole session, I have to give you back. Do you want to say anything? You don't want to eat that, mate. Thank you, Paul. Here you are. So this morning, before I invite some guests on, I want us to get into the feel of what we're going to be talking about this morning. Today, we are going to be plants. Imagine you are part of the Bad Bunny halftime show and you're one of the people in the grass. I was trying to get that happening today, but I didn't quite have the budget for it. So today we're going to be plants because we know and we've seen on the merch that God is the gardener, yeah? And so today we're going to be looking at a few different stages of growth. Because faith, it doesn't happen all at once. It is a journey. It takes time. So we're going to be looking at 4 stages of growth and of faith overall. And we're going to journey through that today through some stories as well. So the first one we're going to be looking at is this idea of being planted. Now, being planted is when you're beneath the soil. It's the unseen place. It's the space where you can't see anything growing on the surface, but under the surface, in the hidden place, life is still happening. There's still activity under the surface. And while we may not see it at the time, God is still working deep in the hidden places. Then from planted, we move into this the session of emerging. And emerging is when you just break through the soil. You're in a fragile state. You need support. You need the right nutrients. You need to grow in a controlled environment. But it's still growth, and it's very important, that stage of emerging. From emerging, we step into blooming. Now, that's when you've kind of weathered the storms a bit. You can take the weight. You've bloomed. You're fully realized. You can handle yourself. And then, from blooming, we step into this the stage of pruning. Now, pruning is the cutting back for more growth. It's an uncomfortable stage, but pruning is not death. It is cutting back for new life. So they're the four kind of frameworks that we're going to work through today as we get our guests on stage. We're going to have some fun. Are you ready for it? All right, let me invite our guests up on stage this morning. Please welcome Alicia, Stephen, and Lily. Come on up, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Come and take a seat on the couch, and also give it up for Al, our barista this morning. Woo! Good morning, team. First things first, should we get some orders placed for some beverages?
Absolutely. I haven't had one yet.
Yes, please.
Stephen, what can I get for you, my friend?
Well, I heard that you don't have ice. Do we have any iced drinkers of coffee out there? I feel like I don't know if it's having a renaissance or a comeback, but I usually do like an iced Americano with pouring cream because, yeah, picky.
Fancy.
But I'll just do an Americano, I think, because great. Thank you. Unless you've got ice. Can you make ice real quick? No, I'm kidding.
We'll have one Americano with no ice, please. Lily, what can we get for you?
I'm going to break the pattern a little bit. I'm actually going to have a tea. That's a bit lame, isn't it? Oh. I actually love, there's some claps.
Oh, the
and
tea
cheers
got
for
a
the tea. There's some
response.
claps. I love coffee. I love coffee so much that I've already had a coffee. Yeah. And after this, I'm probably going to go and have a coffee. And after this, I'm going to sing. So I'm going to have a tea.
Tea, good idea.
That's wise. It's wisdom right there.
Yeah.
And tea is more expensive than coffee in some places.
I know, and there's even honey in there in this economy. Yeah.
Breaking the bank.
Oh, that's pretty good. Alicia, what can we get for you this morning?
I think I'm going to go fancy. I'm going to have a flat white and do you do caramel or anything like that? And he's not really listening.
He's not
I've never
listening to
done
that.
my
He's
order
like,
with a microphone.
no way.
But please make sure it's like oat milk or almond milk, please. We don't want anything to happen that I don't really want to tell 4,000 people about.
Yeah, and I'm sitting next to you too,
Oh.
so.
Oh.
Well, while we're getting those beverages made, we might also share some with the audience as well. If you're lucky, you might get a delivery later today as
That
well.
red shirt guy is like desperate.
Yo.
Flat white, okay. Good.
Okay, first flat white down here when we've got ours first. Thank you,
He
team.
is so desperate for a coffee. It's crazy.
So let's find out a bit about you guys, who you are, why you're here, what brought you here today. Give us some context. Where'd you come from, and where did you go? No.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, Alicia, please.
I'll dig
take
you
me-
out of this hole.
Yeah, dig me out of this
Luke
garden
and,
hole.
Luke and I have been friends for many years, so I think that's why he invited me. But yeah, I'm Alicia. I am from Auckland, but I'm also from Wellington, and I kind of throw it in there just because some people don't like Aucklanders, so you kind of like can please both crowds. I used to be a reporter. I didn't have the face for TV or the voice for radio, so I was a written journalist. It's a thing. like,
No.
Actually,
It's so sad.
I'm sorry.
Hey, come on.
Down myself already. But yeah, I used to work as a reporter for Stuff in the Herald, and now I run an organisation called Media Chaplaincy New Zealand, which we basically look after reporters. We buy them coffees, we rub their backs, make sure they're okay. So yeah, that's my role. That's me. Oh, I have 2 kids, even though it doesn't look like I could possibly have 2 children, but I do. They're Kezia and Judah, and they're at home. Kezia thought I was coming today to sing to you all, but I can
You
promise
should.
I'm not. That's Lily's department. Yeah, that's me.
Well, we're very pleased that you're joining us today, and you'll be helping us a bit later on with a few seminars as well.
Yes. Please come to our seminars. Healthy Relationships and the Creativity one. I'd love to meet you and, yeah, answer all your questions.
Now, Lily,
Thank you for the clap. That's so nice. I appreciate it.
Lily, we feel like we've already met you a little bit, but can you tell us who you are and where you've come from?
I can. My name is Lily Lynn Scott. I am from Wellington. Oh, yay. Me and my band, we sung some songs here last night. We also hung out in the Village Green. Thanks everyone who came. We had heaps of fun. But who am I? I'm Lily. I'm from Wellington. I make music, and I am, I guess, a little bit of my background. I'm not raised in a Christian home. I come from a broken family. I, throughout my childhood, encountered a lot of abuse, and so when I was 12, actually 13 years ago on Easter, is when I was invited to church for the very first time. My first time ever in church, and I got radically saved, and I'm so grateful. That was 13 years ago. And then throughout high school, I did the old backsliding thing. You know, I went to church on Sunday, but then drunk and did drugs on a Friday, you know, that sort of thing. And then when I was 16, I had this amazing encounter with God and just basically just flipped my life 180, and I have been really involved in church. I was in ministry for a while, in creative ministry. And then now I make music, and that's like my dream, to make music, and that's me. I make music now.
And we are so grateful that you came all the way from Wellington to share that with us this weekend. You and 7 of your friends made the trek up, and so we are so privileged to have had you here with us over the last few days as well.
No worries.
Stephen, hello, my friend.
Kia ora, how are you?
I'm superb. I feel like I'm ages away from you.
I know. The guys are holding it down. We're the protectors on the outside, you know.
It kind of feels like that weird, like a TV show, like intervention kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Between us two.
Yeah.
maybe
They have a
it is.
friendship feud that we need to sort out.
We're mediating this morning.
Stephen, who are you? Where did you come from?
Who am I?
I
come from Hamilton. Is there anyone here from Hamilton? Hey, that's what's up. I love it. Yes, I was born and raised here, and then it was 2014, I moved over to the United States of America, and I was working for a music label over there. You may have heard of it, Bethel Music, some of those songs you guys might sing in church. So I worked over there for them as their art director. I did like graphic design, photography, social media, all that kind of stuff. And then God called me back, and it was at the peak of this job, and I was like, oh, yes, oh, kia ora, thank you so much. I was in this, you know, like career going up, 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 and the Lord said, hey, will you return back to Aotearoa? And I was like, oh, why? You know? I was like, okay, if we're going back to Aotearoa, let's go like Auckland, Wellington, Tauranga. And he was like, you're going to go back to Hamilton, and you're going to go back to your old church. Because there's stuff that you need to heal, there's things inside of you that I want to fix, and there was a brokenness that needed to be restored. And so he took me from America and brought me all the way back to the place that I tried to escape for many, many years, to actually bring me into wholeness. And so me and my wife, who is here sitting over the back there, tomorrow's actually our last day, but we are church leaders of a church in Tuako. Anyone know where Tuako is? Anyone? Yeah. Little town of 6,000 people. We've got a little church of about 20 people, and we are loving and serving those people. And that's been our journey. Yeah.
That's brilliant. And you've been involved in Easter Camp previously, a long time ago.
Yes.
It's been a few
2009 was my first year at Easter Camp. So.
Do you have any, like...
Were any of you born in 2009? Okay, great. That's okay, cool. That's great.
Yikes. Way to make us feel old. We have not talked about this previously, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. Do you have any standout highlight memories from your previous times at Easter Camp?
One of my favorite memories was when in here we did the Harlem Shake. Does anyone remember that challenge? One person was down here with like a big donkey, horse head on, and then the whole place just went. It was quite crazy, and it's on YouTube somewhere. Actually,
It went
if you look
quite
it up.
viral, I believe.
It did actually. It made it overseas and stuff. It was one of the biggest ones, I think, or something.
Yeah, I feel like maybe tomorrow we might have to do some other kind of viral challenge like that to try and get us trending again. Yeah. I'll add it to the notes.
Don't know if they're keen.
Okay, maybe not. That's cool. So obviously we're talking about these 4 stages this morning of being planted, emerging, blooming, and pruning. So obviously we're going to dive in and out of some stories as we go, but Alicia, I'll come to you first. When you kind of hear those 4 stages of growth and the fact that we're in Easter weekend,
Yeah.
what does that kind of resonate with you?
A lot, actually. I'm not a gardener, so I'm not going to do any of the gardening puns. But I wanted to come back to the fact that today is actually Easter Saturday. And it's quite a significant day, actually, for me in terms of what that means to my story. You know, Friday, it starts, we actually have Jesus on Friday morning. And then, obviously, it doesn't end very well, to put it lightly. But then there's Sunday, and that's like the good stuff's happening. We know what's about to come. But then there's Saturday, and it's nothing kind of day. It is the stillness day. It's a day kind of tormenting. I could imagine being a disciple and just like sitting there being like, wait, Jesus just died? Like, did we get duped by this guy? Like, he's supposed to be the Messiah. What's going on here? So that kind of day, I like to call it, it's like Grey Saturday, and I know Max Lucado calls it Stillness of Saturday, but that sounds too nice. Like, it's actually a tormenting kind of day, and I lived in that season for so long in the grey. I mentioned I was a reporter. I wanted to be a reporter when I was in high school. It was the thing I wanted to do, and I left school, went to uni, got into an awesome journalism school, even got to go overseas and study to be an international reporter. And then straight out of uni, got my dream job. I got the best job that you could get in journalism, and I got it straight away, and I thought I was amazing. And that's when things started to plateau. I walked into the industry and I could do it. I could write the stories, I could interview people and meet people, but inside, I was like falling apart. Depression like snuck in like a little guy, and I started having really, really bad anxiety. I started having panic attacks all the time. My favorite were in the bathroom at work. That was like my go-to crying place. And just having those panic attack after panic attack. And I know there's probably many of you out there that have had a panic attack before, and they are not nice and very hard to get out of. And I started getting really critical of myself. There was like this perfectionism in me of like wanting to be the best journalist, but then also so critical and not happy with what I was doing. So to make matters much better, I became the Auckland police reporter. So as you can imagine, the stories were so easy to do for a poor girl with anxiety. And part of it was listening to a police scanner 8 hours a day. And I'd listen just waiting for something big to happen. So you're like listening and hearing about people dying in fires and car crashes, but then you're just waiting for something even bigger than that. So I started getting like really wound up. And then there was one day my boss sent me to Piha Beach, and he said, I want you to go and just wait for somebody to drown and just sit on the beach and just wait for the story. And I sat there for 9 hours with the Piha rescue team and the camera crew actually, waiting for somebody to drown. And there was this whole moment where it was like the adrenaline and like waiting to get the story from my boss so I can do my job. And then this dread of watching every person go into the sea and seeing like they potentially could die and that would help me. Like this, it was so messed up. So I kind of lost it a little bit, as you would. And the anxiety just got worse and worse. But there was one moment for me, and it really recognizes this grayness, where I was in church and the pastor, disclaimer, it was my dad. He was the pastor. Any PKs here? Yeah. Keep them in. If you notice there's a PK out there, can you be nice to them and like let them in line at getting your pies or anything like that? Because PKs are great. But I was sitting there listening to my pastor dad do a sermon about anxiety and saying things like, do not be anxious and all this stuff. And I remember being like, I do not want to hear this. I was like that angry girl in the service, just like staring people down. And everyone was looking at me like, oh, there's that girl with anxiety. She should be listening. And I remember going to God, I have this like tiny bit of faith, a seed. I have this tiny thing left, and this is all I have left. This is my last chance, this last moment. Don't do an ultimatum with God, but in this moment I did. And I said, I'm going to go up the front for the altar call, but if anyone prays away my anxiety or just says not to be anxious, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this. I felt like I'd been duped into having this faith and anxiety. It didn't go together. So I went up the front and planted my seed, not literally, I just started crying, and I went on my knees, and 2 women came alongside me, and they didn't say one word. They just were crying too, and we cried, I don't know for how long. And in that moment, God just planted something in me. He was like, I'm here, and I know what you're feeling. This is a gray day. I'm grieving too, but there's hope coming tomorrow, and that's all I needed. Well, I didn't get healed that day, but it was that planting of something in me that gave me a little bit of hope to kind of keep going. So that's my planting story. Where to from here?
Well, I think you highlighted something really special just then, is that God is with us where we're at.
Yes,
right?
100%.
All we need to bring to him is our small seed. It says so much in Scripture, faith is smaller than mustard seed, right?
Yeah.
And so all he's asking is for the small that we do have, right?
And it's like, God, what can you do with this right now? Because I even like coming to Easter camp today, that shows that you've got enough faith for God to move in it. Like, you might not have felt like getting out of bed this morning, but you have enough faith to be sitting here, and God can do amazing things with that.
Yeah, that's right.
Drops.
That's awesome. Don't drop the mic, it's
Yeah,
very
right,
expensive,
okay,
please.
Thank you, sorry.
So-
Getting excited.
If we dive into this idea of being planted into this next bit here, so it's the hidden place, it's the beneath the soil seasons of life. Stephen and Lily, any thoughts from you guys about the seasons in your own lives where you may have been in a planted state that you didn't see God at work, but He was there working under the surface?
I think there's something really beautiful about not being hidden, but also really dumb. Being hidden is really dumb. I'm making a career that I want to be seen, right? That's like quite a bold thing in New Zealand to say I want to be seen. By the way, tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand sucks. If you want to do something big for God, you should do something big for God. But also that means there's hidden seasons. And what I have found is it's the really unglamorous things. Planting seeds of forgiveness. Like a lot of my journey, I have been encountered a lot of hurt. I've encountered hurt like in my home. I've encountered hurt from my mum. I've encountered hurt from really close people. And planting seeds of things like forgiveness or grace is not glamorous at all. But you'll notice over time those things change and they grow. And then once the time comes that you're out of the soil, so to speak, you've healed from those things. I'm so grateful now that when I write songs about, like, for example, my family dynamic, I now write them from a place of healing. And I only have done that because of like 15 years of going on this journey of like taking these little bits and pieces and saying, okay, I sow forgiveness here, I sow forgiveness here. And then also just taking note of like when God plants little seeds in your heart, like God plants a dream here or God plants an encouragement here, and just like stewarding that so that when the time comes that grows, you kind of look back and you be like, oh, okay, God was preparing me for something. I just didn't know. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so encouraging. Thanks for sharing that with us. Stephen,
worries.
do you have any thoughts about being planted?
Yes. I mean, I think what I was saying before about choosing to come back to where I'm from, and I was chatting with a friend of mine who actually now works for Bethel Music as their like designer and creative person, and he lives in Spain, and he's had this real conviction of that it's so important to love where you're planted. And when we allow God to be the one to plant us and put us somewhere, it's like Psalm 37:4, where it says, give God the right to direct your life. And as you go, you'll see He pulls it off perfectly. Trust in the Lord, And I've found that too, that in every time that I've chosen to surrender to God and actually say, hey, wherever you want to plant me, I'm in. I will go there. I will be there, whether it's in front of 4,000 people or it's with 4 people in a basement somewhere praying and just sharing about the Lord. If He can trust you, that if He knows that He calls you and will place you somewhere, anywhere, you will be faithful. And if you'll be faithful, you will be fruitful. It's just a kingdom principle. So the fruit speaks of the root. So if you're rooted in Christ and you're staying close to Him, He can trust you and put you anywhere. And as a quick story from the life of Jesus, right? The first 30 years of Jesus' life, we don't know barely anything about it. The brother was anonymous. The Son of God, not only was He born in a stable in these awful conditions, but He didn't just arrive and take up to the top of the temple and all this. He spent 30 years of anonymity and obscurity, getting to know the Father, learning how to be a son, and then God was like, and the first words over Jesus were, you're my beloved son, and then He goes forth into ministry.
Yeah, that's awesome. So being planted, just because you're hidden does not mean that you're forgotten.
No, hidden seasons are some of the best seasons if you'll choose to lean into the growth that there's an invitation into.
Yeah, so you're hidden, but you're held in the hand of the gardener. It's beautiful. Then from there, if we were to continue with this gardener analogy, we go into this state of emerging, which is this fragility. It's being fragile but being formed. Do you guys have any thoughts about that or any alignments with your own journey of what it would mean to be in an early and vulnerable state where things might kind of be a little bit delicate?
I can go first.
Go for it.
I identify with being fragile and delicate, so I'll go first. It's really easy in the good times to not feel like you need support or you need like a group of people around you. And in this kind of emerging state, you are a little fragile, and it's actually okay to be vulnerable and be fragile. But what's really important is you have a safe place around you of people that you can be fragile and supported by, so that when things come, you've already got the system. You've already got your. Oh my gosh, why am I doing so many gardening analogies? I don't know how to garden. I actually don't know how to
And it
garden.
sounds like you do.
No, I don't. My husband does all the gardening.
Wow.
So,
Shout
yeah,
out.
so anyway.
Good
but
man.
It's great man. Great man. Great man. So when these storms come, you're actually already planted into something. You've already got this thing. So it almost feels like a preparing state. You're coming through. You know that God's got something amazing for you. You've planted these things. Things are starting to happen, but kind of preparing for this growth in your life by having people around you that you can be tied to.
Totally. It's like what is emerging, it needs protecting, not pressuring, right?
Yeah.
You need the right soil to be planted in, the right nutrients, all of that.
Look
kind
at these
of stuff.
gardening analogies.
I
I think
know.
we're quite
Actually
good.
amazing.
Well, the scripture is just full of garden analogies. It's very easy to align with that because Jesus himself talks about it, right?
It's true.
And so we are literally learning from the greatest gardener on earth. So from here we go into this state of blooming. This is a season of confidence, strength, impact, whatever you might want to call it. It's a season of significance where you've reached your full potential. Do you guys feel like you've reached that state? Or is there a moment in your life where you look back and you go, oh, I didn't know that I was blooming then, but my gosh, that was it. That was my peak.
I was about to say I peaked at high school. and
You
the
did
school
not
going
peak in
down.
high school.
I loved high school, so if you're peaking now, just enjoy it.
Do you want to know something funny?
Sure.
At high school, does anyone do like year 13 like leaver awards? There's awards tonight, isn't there? Do you know what award I got? Most likely to peak in high school.
Ooh.
Oh, I'd actually have been happy with that. 'Cause
I
it
was
enjoyable.
a bit devastated. Anyway, sorry, no, I just interjected.
Nice. Would you like me to say something?
Yeah, you can say something.
Yeah, Steve just keeps telling me to do stuff. I'm doing what everyone else is saying. I think I've realized over time that blooming doesn't look like you just make it and then you're there. It's when I was saying it earlier, that it's like the valleys get smaller and the highs get greater. Like for me, it was like when you have an anxiety attack, it didn't take you out for a week or a few weeks. It now takes me out for a day or a few hours or even just in a moment. Like you can notice that anxiety. That for me is blooming. It's showing that God's taken what I planted and that healing. And I would have loved to have been healed in that moment with those two ladies and just never had anxiety again. But I think God wanted to do some planting in me for me to be able to bloom and to be who I am. And now I run an organization that looks after people that are having to do reports on Piha Beach, and I look after them and speak life into them and look and be the person I needed in that moment. And I could never have bloomed in this role if I hadn't been planted and been in that moment.
Yeah, well, and it's like fruitfulness comes from having deep roots, right?
100%.
You need to be planted in the right place in order to bed down into the soil.
Don't be scared of it.
That's right. Yeah, and if you're not there, that's okay. It's like totally fine. Like you have to go through the planting and the emerging to reach the blooming state. So yeah, it's not the end. And then finally we come into a season of pruning.
The best one.
Ooh, pruning's the uncomfortable one because it's the chopping off of things. You know, in the gardening world, you prune so that for the next season you're going to have better life. I remember a quick story. We moved into a house a few years ago in Tauranga, and there was a beautiful mandarin tree. It was fully laden with mandarins, and we moved in and we thought we'd struck the jackpot. Next season comes around, and the mandarin tree sucked. We just didn't get the yield, but it's because we didn't know that we needed to prune in order to create space for new growth. And so in our own lives, God does that through us as well. It's not punishment, it's the intentional shaping. So in terms of pruning, Stephen, let's come to you. What do you got for us?
Can I share the story?
You can share the story.
Okay.
Absolutely.
With 10 seconds.
It's just a suggestion, the 10
Okay,
seconds.
all right. So me and my wife, we lost our baby girl last year, and that was the most. It's interesting. I think pruning can like a synonym for that would be like proving. So pruning, the cutting back to reveal what's actually there, to reveal the root, to reveal what's actually been grown. I think of like if you have a cup, right? Imagine you've just got a cup and you've filled it with water, you filled it with orange juice, fill it with a beer, whatever it might be. When the shaking comes, what actually comes out isn't defined by the shaking, it's defined by what was in there already. So it's like, what are you growing in your lives right now? And it might be, all I want to do is want to be in a relationship. All I want to do is do well at school. All I want to do is, and of course, God hears the cry of our hearts. But I want to remind you that the greatest thing that you could be invited into right now is a season of saying, Jesus, whatever you want, I'm there. I'm willing. Your yieldedness, God can do more with your yieldedness than your gifting, than all the things that you think might add up to being used by Him. If you will actually just let go and let God do what He wants to do with your life, the fruit is amazing. And one of the most beautiful things that we encountered, God had taken us on a huge journey, just learning how to trust the Lord, learning what it looks like to actually faithfully follow Him through highs and lows. And so when we walked through, I have this analogy of when we walked through this incredibly painful low of losing our daughter. It was like when we couldn't breathe, when we couldn't move, the Lord just said, like, fall back and actually you can float. Because when you've built and you've stewarded the depths with God, He fills that water, He fills that with His presence, and then it means you can actually just lay back and float. In the really difficult times, He carries us, He holds us. But so often He walks us through the valley, which is what you're talking about, right? We wish that it would just be an instant fix, and God is building character. God is building integrity. He's building people who are resilient, who will follow Him wherever He says to go. And so that's just what I would want to bless and leave you guys with, is these seasons when you feel the Lord is cutting back and, He's asking me to give up this movie, or He's saying, hey, that's not for you anymore. What an invitation to pursue righteousness with God. It's not just about, what He's saying no to. It's your greater yes. What is the greater yes? Keep that greater yes in front of you. So when you see the lesser things that He's asking to be cut off and let go, you're not focused on those things. You're focused on the yes of seeing Christ and having more of Him in your life. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think God, as the gardener, a gardener isn't there to destruct.
No.
He's there for formation, right? So when God prunes things in our lives, He's not doing it to just remove things for the sake of it.
Yeah.
He's doing it so that we can flourish.
Yeah.
So it's really important to grab hold of that. And also, we don't always understand it. A lot of the time we don't, right? And we're in this midst of this season of going, what are you doing, God? I don't understand. But when we draw near to Him, He draws right back near to us. He's walking alongside us, and His way is better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, your way is better than mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Literally, I was thinking about that this morning when we're jumping around and singing that. The cost of actually walking that out once the hype of camp has gone is massive. It's not impossible, but it's massive when you're back surrounded by friends or school or environments that are difficult, and the Lord's calling you to make a stand for something, to truly follow Him, to allow Him to tend and do what He needs to do in your heart. Do we remember that your way is better? Yahweh, I'm living for you. I'm choosing you, not just in a jumping around moment. And I think too, John 15:2 says this: God prunes what He wants to grow. So remember that the things that he's cutting off, it's not necessarily, like, it may be, I remember for me, I wanted to be seen as well. And I remember that God said to me for my journey, He said, I need you to do things anonymously. I need you to serve in the smallest so that I know that I could trust you with the big one day if that ever happens. So don't look at obscurity, hiddenness, these seasons of things as God has forgotten you or doesn't want anything to do with you. He actually wants more to do with you than you would ever realize. He sent His Son to die for you, not so that you could be huge and big and seen, but so that God in your life may be seen and glorified and exalted. Amen?
That's right. So good. Now we're going to wrap up. We could talk for so long. There's so many stories that I know we haven't even got to. It just goes so quickly up here. But I'll get the band back up while we're just wrapping up so we can transition into this next bit here. There's a beautiful song that encapsulates so much of what we've talked about this morning. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's a song called Tend. And this morning I want to ask Lily if she'd sing this beautiful song, Tend, to kind of wrap up this particular session and transition us into worship. But first, before we do that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all three of you for coming up here today, making yourselves available, being vulnerable, sharing your stories with us. So can we give them a round of applause? So as we wrap up, just a few little thoughts. Like a garden, faith moves through seasons. So if you're not blooming at the moment, that's okay. You can't get to blooming without being planted and emerging. And if you're being pruned at the moment, that's of God as well. And so in small groups, I encourage you guys to lean into this idea and to talk with your small group leaders a bit more. And the Easter story reminds us that when everything seems silent, like Easter Saturday, God is still at work. So let's lean into that. We know how the story ends. We know that He's good, that He's got this. He's in our corner. He backs us. So let's rest in that goodness today. Amen? Thank you, team. That is so cool.
Thank you, guys.
So as we get rid of these couches, I just want to encourage you this morning. You can trust the gardener. You know, it says on some of our t-shirts, it says, I know the gardener, and you can know him really deeply. And if you don't know him already, there'll be an opportunity tonight or tomorrow or any point throughout the weekend, you can reach out and talk to somebody about it. But I encourage you, if that's you this morning, after this, talk to your nearest and dearest, talk to your youth leaders. They would love to introduce you to the gardener if you're not intimate with him already. He is the best thing that will ever happen to your life. If you draw near to him, he will draw near to you. So I want to hand over to Lily and the team now to lead us in this beautiful song, Tend. And then after that, we're going to worship together. Thanks, team.